want you to have your own solicitor. We don't want you to use somebody else's solicitor, because if you use somebody else's solicitor, you will play by their rules. We want you to create your rules and get your solicitor to obey your rules. So we don't. We teach our own solicitors, because solicitors, they don't know this type of agreements. We teach them how to do this. Giveaway bonus, our best kept secret. Well, I'm going to give you actually a second bonus as well, something called right to buy vendor term agreements, which is council gives opportunities to tenants that have been living in for 20 years in that property to buy it significantly below market value. They give them a discount. So I'm going to show you how you can buy that property with that person and actually benefit from the discount that the council's given you. This is massive profit. That's why you make £200,000 a deal.
How much is this?
697 plus. That's too cheap.
Well, we crossed it out. Well, I've already crossed it out. Do you want to go back?
697. Do you think that is cheap?
Let's do an early bird special offer.
You make 50 grand a deal and 697 plus that.
Yeah. You make it on the first deal.
So not only, just for our beautiful host, 497 plus that. Okay, it's not going to be any cheaper than that. So we're going to increase the price next week.
We can also offer a second place for an additional £100 if you want to bring two people together.
We appreciate business partners. We believe people who come to our workshop with business partners are much more successful than a person that comes there on their own, because business partners support each other, and that's why networking is for, to support each other, so we can grow together.
This is a genuine 2 days and a very, very small number of people, so there aren't vast numbers to sell.
We're not going to do another one. We do once a year, so we're busy doing deals, so we are not in the education business. We're in the business of making money from buying and selling houses.
So the free bonus pack that comes with this is all the legal documentation, all of our documents that we've created and perfected over the years.
You'll get a 150-page manual, and that manual has got all the legal documents, including the protocol pack, including the ID verification forms. It's everything in there, everything you need.
That comes free and included. Access to our closed Facebook account, which is for our students only. That comes free and included. And 30-day email support. Surprisingly, we give 30-day email support, him and me and him, personally, to those people that need the support for the first 30 days. Because when you get out there, there's going to be lots of questions that you need to ask that you forgot to ask back at the workshop. How do you fill this paperwork? How do you fill that paperwork? What questions shall I ask here? How do I structure this deal? We're available by email and in some cases on the telephone for 30 days after the workshop. That's completely free.
That's massive value. One of our students, Ivan, he bought a cellar into our office. He bought it for 175 and he sold it for £400,000 in Clayhole, East London. Massive profits.
We wanted to show you some proof of some of the money that we banked, just so that we're not playing games here.
£17,000, Bartlett Road, £5,600, £70,000 cash back from purchase, £55,000, £18,000, £29,000, £51,800 cash back, £50,000 cash back. That's Ivan on his first deal.
How much did he make on that first deal? Was it 200, wasn't it?
Well, it's more than that. I think he spent £25,000 on doing it. So yeah, he made £200,000 first deal. Controlled it with assisted sale agreement.
So that's Ivan and Ada, they teamed up together, and that was the holding deposit that they took from the incoming buyer, which we always earn £1,000 from the incoming buyer for no reason at all other than taking the property off the market. That's additional profit. And there was a text that we received. We was at Lincoln Pin speaking.
Oh yeah, that's Alan.
Alan texted, he said it's about time, the coaching is obviously working, we need to sort out contracts and solicitors for him. Are you in the office? So, any questions before we leave the stage? We're open to questions.
I've got one question. I'm just, with the vendor, I don't know the full mechanics of what you do, but what do you do if they could be a potential bankrupt?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rory. And of course, you do need to check that, because that's the last thing that you want to see happen, is that they're heading into bankruptcy.
£6.
So we do all the checks necessary, and we make sure that the solicitors do the checks that are necessary as well. But if they move into bankruptcy after the process is completed, they're simply a trustee in bankruptcy, and that's a standard situation. So, you know, we deal with a trustee.
As long as a petition hasn't been signed against them before the exchange with the buyer, you're fine. If it's after exchange, trustees in bankruptcy can't touch anything, because we have experienced that, and we had a court case. Okay, this is talking from experience, although I'm quite young. We've gone through quite a bit of trouble as well, where the sellers went bankrupt after the exchange.
So the key thing is, because I know you don't have enough time to talk about it, but on these contracts you're exchanging, is that right?
We exchange with the buyer, because the vendor term agreement, remember, is only an exit strategy.
Yes.
Our buying strategy is to use the assisted sale,
Yeah.
and we buy, you know, various ways. We can either control property,
Yeah.
where we babysit, or we can buy with a mortgage, always using this agreement, whichever one we choose. So the vendor term agreement is only an exit strategy in order to maximise profits. It gives us more profit than any other strategy. Sorry?
So you could be buying in your name to get a mortgage?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then you use the vendor term to maximise money?
It maximises profits, gives us more profits than any other strategy. HMO, student lets, multiple occupation, it gives us much more profit than that, because we take away all the costs.
It's a slightly leading question, because a lot of the below market value deals were problematic when people became bankrupt.
Absolutely.
Because they
5-year
then
rule.
could be perceived to be under market transactions.
Yeah.
Whereas actually these are full market.
That's called dissipating assets, and there's a 5-year rule there. You can
Yeah.
overturn that in 5 years. Yeah, this doesn't happen because in many cases we're actually paying full market value or close to, so it can't be seen as a below market value purchase in most cases.
With the ones that we buy on the discount, we buy on the assisted sale agreement. It's a very clever concept, and it doesn't raise anybody's eyebrows. So we go into details in the workshop. Doug spends 4 hours on it, so it's quite advanced stuff, and it's actually one of the most profitable strategies. So it's in the 2-day workshop. We can't spend 4 hours, unfortunately, here to explain that.
Any more questions?
Can I just clarify, do you have banker solicitors that you use, is that what you're saying, or?
We do. We have our own solicitors that we prefer to use, and that we would suggest that the buyer or the seller would also use, because they know the contract. They've seen the contract, they've approved the contract, they understand it. So when somebody comes to them and say, I'd like to do one of these contracts, they say, oh yes, I've seen one of those before, and it happens very quickly, 28-day exchange.
We have students coming to the workshop that are solicitors.
Yeah.
What's the typical cost of the legal then to do that, legal paperwork?
If you give them a lot of volume, we pay $350 plus VAT ourselves. But if it's a solicitor that you don't give them a lot of volume, $675 plus VAT, $750 plus VAT, $950 plus VAT in central London. Depends on the solicitor.
What doesn't happen is that you don't get charged the fees that solicitors that specialise in options charge, because they're creating an option agreement for you from a heads of terms. We don't do a heads of terms, we don't do an option agreement, so therefore the solicitor is a standard conveyancer, because this is a standard conveyance. There's no special knowledge.
We fill the contracts ourselves, give them the draft, and they take it on from there. They don't need heads of terms. Already all the heads of terms, payment schedule and everything is in there already. That's why what we teach is advanced stuff. And once you understand it, you'll save shitloads of money on solicitor fees.
So are the two sets of solicitors involved, or 3?
Buyer and seller. Buyer and seller. That's it. Standard conveyance.
And the vendor term agreement, does that have a solicitor?
Yes, the buyer has a solicitor.
Right, okay. Okay, so that's their solicitor.
Must use a solicitor.
Yeah. Okay, and there's one for the vendor?
Yeah.
Yeah. There isn't only one for us, because we stay in the middle under the power of attorney. So we instruct seller's solicitor, if that makes sense. It represents the seller. Under the power of attorney granted under the assisted sale.
You have a question?
I wondered about stamp duty, land tax.
Yeah, well, stamp duty is payable by the buyer in the standard way because it is a standard conveyance. So stamp duty is due to be paid. Now, some solicitors interpret the rules that you must pay on exchange of contracts because they say you've substantially completed. So stamp duty is due on exchange. But there are some solicitors that will interpret the rules to say you pay on completion. So you've got a choice there. They say, do you want to pay now or later?
It's all about submitting the form. If the form is submitted, the stamp duty becomes due. If it's not submitted, it stays in there. So he's got the option submitted either on exchange or on completion.
Yeah. That's up to the solicitor to advise his client. It's not really up to us to advise that.
But we want our buyers to pay stamp duty because it's a stronger position. So if the seller goes bankrupt, they know I've paid my stamp duty, I've exchanged, I've got the legal rights over the equity of this property. You can't touch my equity. Mr. Trustee, thank you very much.
Time for a question, yeah.
Yeah, if it's an interest-only mortgage, the person that's selling it, how do you pay back the mortgage?
You said you can answer that.
No, interest only. Do they forbid you from making repayments? No. You just add a little bit of money extra, standing order, pay more.
Sometimes we only pay the interest.
If there is a little bit of equity in the deal,
if there's equity in the property, we'll just pay the interest.
If it's negative equity though?
The negative equity will make the payment.
it's all repayment, yeah. So we're going to show you our deal analyzer. We've got a program called Deal Analyzer.
The deal analyzer sorts out between where you pay interest only or where you make a repayment, and it tells you exactly when to start making the capital payments.
We're going to spend an hour on that on the workshop, so you're going to get to see how it works. It's quite a clever way of actually helping you structure deals.
Yes, it takes the guesswork away.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions? Because I'm aware that we're running late, and I know we do all be here all night, but we are at the back of the room, and we won't be leaving until all your questions have been answered. So please come and see us at the back.
497 plus that for 1, 597 plus that for 2. Never going to be that cheap. Thanks for listening.
Probably all got more questions, I think. Yes, so Doug and Mesud will be at the back. We've just sort of wrap up now, really.